What would you like to see from the Commanders? Are you in? Are you out on Justin Simmons? What do you want to see on the quarterback position? It's actually where we're going to start. But actually, before we even get to the quarterback position specifically, Anthony, I want to talk about the kind of overarching theme that I think they're going to take into free agency, which will affect the quarterback position. And that is this. I think Logan put this extremely well on Take Command when we did our mock draft the other day. I kind of sidebarred into, well, what about free agency on this, and how does it affect this pick? And he goes, I think they're going to attack free agency in a way that says we don't have to take anything in the draft. So when we talk about, are they going to attack edge in free agency or the draft? Are they going to attack O-line in free agency or the draft? Are they going to attack this or that in free agency or the draft? I think the answer for a lot of these positions is going to be both. Like, I imagine that let's say they go out and sign Bryce Huff from the Jets, 25-year-old pass rusher. A lot of people thought the Jets might franchise him. They ultimately decide against it. He's a guy that's pass rush win rate, like some of the underlying data is fantastic. Can he hold up as a 3-down edge? Is he a true starter? Is he a situational pass rusher? That's why he's hitting free agency. They also have, they don't have like crazy amounts of cap space. So maybe they just don't feel like they can get a deal done. But for whatever reason, he's in free agency. So let's say that they go out and they're like, yep, Bryce Huff, we need that pass rush juice. Let's go. Let's party. You're coming to play with John Allen. That doesn't mean that if Darius Robinson out of Mizzou is on the board somehow at 36, that they're not going to sprint that pick to the podium. If they go out and sign Tyron Smith, and all of a sudden Tyler Guyton falls in the draft out of Oklahoma, and the offensive tackle who's, in the eyes of many, a first-round grade type of player, all of a sudden is available at 36, or even if he's available at 29, they might not trade up and say, let's go get this guy, that they would do that. And I think that's the position of power that you want to be in. And so I would expect on Monday them to work towards signing a lot of guys. Now, will they all happen Monday? Probably not. And frankly, I hope not for our own sake. We only got 3 shows. Or no, not next week. It's 2 weeks that we have only 3 shows because of the NCAA tournament. I hope that over the next 10 days starting Monday, they space them out and we get all kinds of guys to talk about because I'm selfish and I want that spaced out. We have a different guy every day. Adam Peters, if you're listening, you want to do me a favor. And Anthony a favor as the producer of the show. But more pointedly, more realistically, I think over that first week of free agency, they move towards signing an edge player, a corner, a safety, a linebacker, multiple offensive linemen. Because I don't think they want to go in the draft. And this is smart strategy. I endorse this, by the way. They don't want to go in the draft feeling like they need anything. And I think that's the smart way to do it.
I sort of kind of have a different take on the start of free agency. And I'm curious to know what you think. Do you think...
Fire away.
Do you think that free agency 2 is better than free agency 1 if you're one of those teams that isn't really willing to just go out there and throw buku's amounts of money just because you already know you're going to be competing with so many teams?
Yes and no. Yes, because you avoid the rat race and the biggest compensation packages. Yeah. No, because you also avoid the best players. Like, the best players, Patrick Queen's not waiting till free agency 2.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's going to sign immediately. Probably not. Like, will there be deals announced at pretty much noon on Monday? Probably. But at the end of the day, like, I think I want to go get some good football players. I want to go get guys that are starting caliber, and that might cost a little bit of money, but they have the money to spend. Whether that's a multi-year contract or whether they overpay for 1 year to get their contract shorter, whether they backload some of the deals, whether they front load some of the deals, I don't know how the math is exactly going to work out because I think they've got options and, we'll see what Peters wants to do. But at the end of the day, I think the worst thing you can do is go into the draft being like, all right, we're going to get our starting left tackle in the draft. Oh God, there's a run on tackles between 11 and 23. We don't have a starting caliber tackle left on the board. What do we do now? Do we take a non-starting level tackle that we think is going to be a development project and just play them and live with the results with a rookie quarterback potentially? Or, then are you dipping in, or are you just dipping into that free agent 2 pool after the draft? Maybe. Like, is there a couple guys? Can you do that at, say, running back if you don't want to go after one of the 10 biggest names? Probably. Can you do that even maybe at safety? Probably. But like, I would only want to be doing that in positions where I'm okay going into the season with what I have. So, for instance, at running back, if I go into the season with Chris Rodriguez as my backup, Brian Robinson is my starter, and anybody else that's an NFL caliber running back is my third RB, I'm set. So I don't care if that guy comes in free agency 1, free agency 2, or the draft. I don't care. So I don't need to go do that. If I want an impact guy, or I want a specific, if I want Saquon, because I love his versatility and I think he can line up in the slot for me or outside for me in a Cliff Kingsbury offense that gives me a ton of versatility to line him up in the backfield or out wide, and that's important to me, okay, fine. I don't know that it is. I'm hypothesizing here with that position. Or if I want to go spend money on Justin Simmons, or I want to go spend money on one of these other safeties, I want to re-sign Kendall Fuller because that guy's important to me, okay. But I'm not risking free agency 2 on a position where at edge, I'm not risking free agency 2. I'm being aggressive in the edge market. And that's because if we have to start the season tomorrow with what we have, we're in deep trouble, no matter what happens in the draft. Like, they need, especially at edge, like literally at edge, they need both.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I was just curious to where your thoughts were. But to your point, I definitely think we need to be a little aggressive just because we have 24 free agents, or I guess guys that are set to be free agents. And none of them have been re-signed. So I think that also just speaks to, the nature of what our roster was last year and being able to, go out and get some of these guys free agency 1. I'm all for, the Tyron Smiths, definitely at edge. Safety, I would love to have a big name in the room. I would love to have a big name, but as Kevin pointed out, we have some guys that we drafted. Whether or not, they're the right fit for Dan Quinn's defense is another story. But based off their production last year, it just indicates that we should also be trying to target somebody in the defensive backfield as well.
You have to get one. And this has kind of been my thing all along, right? I don't know what they think of Quan Martin other than they like him, but I don't know what they like him as. Do you like him as a nickel predominantly, where he's playing that, whether you call it nickel, Buffalo nickel, box safety, but he's actually playing nickel. If he's going to line up as a third corner, then you need a safety. Yeah. Butler and Forrest isn't good enough. I think Percy's a phenomenal backup and an ace special teams guy, but I don't want him starting at safety at least immediately. Maybe Agreed. With a year with that coaching under his belt, could he be really good a year from now? Maybe, but I'm looking to upgrade there. But if you see Quan as a safety who plays some nickel or some Buffalo, then you need another corner. And again, I don't know what they think of BSJ. He's one of the biggest mysteries on the roster. I'm pretty sure they like Emmanuel Forbes. I'm pretty sure that he's their kind of player. He fights, he competes, he goes after the ball. That's their kind of dude. They got to teach him how to be successful at it, but he's their kind of dude. Quan Martin is their kind of dude. Honestly, Jamin Davis is their kind of dude. He's fast, he's physical, he plays hard, he finishes. He doesn't always do the right thing, but they can coach that up till he does it more often. John Allen, Deron Payne, they're kinds of dudes. KJ Henry's their kind of dude, but they need better at some of those positions. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do at that DB spot. I'm definitely into signing someone, and there's really a lot of great options, corner and safety, but I don't know exactly who those options, which one of their options is most appealing to them. Then you got the offensive side of the ball. They're going to be looking for nasty linemen, and there's some good candidates out there, and I would definitely be aggressive in signing some of them. But we'll see. I think the other big one that we talked about with Kevin too, is the quarterback room. What do they do to try to supplement this number 2 pick? And is it necessary to have a bridge/veteran quarterback? And does that have to be the same guy? Dan Orlovsky had some interesting thoughts on the Pat McAfee show today. We'll share with you what Dan said after we tell you what's trending here on the Team 980.
This is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.